Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. Let me start with some macro thoughts via the Asia Times. Japan's, the US's, and Europe's central banks and governments continue to fly by the seat of their pants. I think that's absolutely true. That was part of my thesis in the piece I wrote over the weekend, House of Cards. Home thoughts, really enjoying this Kazuo Ishiguro, the buried giant. I forgot how brilliant he is, because he hasn't written for a number of years. This country awakens so many memories, though each seems like some restless sparrow I know will flee any moment into the breeze. But then again, I wonder if what we feel in our hearts today isn't like these raindrops still falling on us from the soaked leaves above, even though the sky itself long stopped raining. I'm wondering if without our memories, there's nothing for it but for our love to fade and die. It's very poignant because it's the story of an elderly couple looking for their son, crossing a landscape of Saxons. It's beautifully written. I like this. As a writer, I'm more interested in what people tell themselves happened rather than what actually happened. I like this. And I saw a little girl, her eyes tightly closed, holding to her breast the old kind of world, one that she knew in her heart could not remain, and she was holding it and pleading never to let her go. Hannah is going to the school disco tonight, and I'm a bit conflicted because she's been terribly excited about it, quite breathless whenever I ask any pertinent questions, which I've stopped asking because I'm probably not interested in the answer. Reagan in slippers, Sinatra by the pool, inside Sunnylands, the Camp David in California's desert. President Obama and leaders of Asian nations meet here Monday. They will feel the tug of history and a bit of glamour on an estate where Ronald Reagan wandered around in slippers. Frank Sinatra sipped drinks by the pool. Obama has met here with Chinese President Xi Jinping and King Abdullah of Jordan, discussing matters ranging from world trade to global warming. Like the desert that surrounds it, the 200-acre estate is at once opulent and rustic. Obama's summit Monday with leaders from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, which as a bloc is probably the fastest growing bloc in the world these days, comes at a time of regional tensions, including containing North Korea's nuclear ambitions and disputes over Beijing's territorial claims in the South China Sea. The meeting, which will not include China, is a move by Obama to reaffirm US commitment to Asian nations, wary of Beijing's regional aggressiveness and things to put spying in his pivot. Let me put up two photographs of the Annenberg retreat at Sunnylands. It does look beautiful, and an interior, which looks pretty good as well. A US admiral has warned against Chinese fighter flights from South China Sea runways. Any move by China to fly jet fighters from runways on its new man-made islands in the disputed South China Sea would be destabilizing and would not deter US flights over the area. Vice Admiral Joseph Oikon, commander of the US Navy's 7th Fleet, said, "We are unsure where they are taking us. So we're going to sail, fly, operate throughout these waters like we've been doing for so long." That, he added, included flying over that airspace. And I asked this following question in my conclusions: the pivot to Asia needs to bite China harder, apparently. Face it, Trump is right about Iraq, and That should sink Clinton. Trump, you fight ISIS first. Right now you have Russia, you have Iran, you have them with Assad, and you have them with Syria. You have to knock out ISIS. You can't fight two wars at one time. But of course, to some of the US establishment, two wars is slacking. They want more than two wars. Trump continued. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. They were none. And they knew they were none. The World Trade Center came down during the reign of George W. Bush. If anyone noticed, even as the auditorium packed of moneyed interests booed Trump, the tracker at the bottom of the screen went up for him. And I think he's being seriously disruptive. And if you think back, and I remember with the Iraq War, because I went on a march in central London against the whole idea, and there was a huge majority against that war. So I think Trump is disruptive and he's being very smart, and I think he's saying things which people feel. Turkey will not allow the northern Syrian town of Azaz to fall into the hands of a Kurdish militia, and its fighters will face the harshest reaction if they approach it again. This is Davutoglu. I'll put up a map which shows Azaz. Clearly this is a big flashpoint now. Russia might control the skies, but obviously incoming artillery is something that they're not able to control. Draghi says the ECB will act if market turmoil threatens outlook. In the light of the recent financial turmoil, we will analyze the state of transmission of our monetary impulses by the financial system, and in particular by banks. Draghi. In addition, the ECB will examine the impact of renewed declines in energy prices, and if either of these two factors entail downward risks to price stability, we will not hesitate to act. Euro dropped on those dovish comments. Let's move on to the markets. Euro's at 111.56. Dollar index is around 96.70. The yen has been strengthening. When I walked in, it was at 114.83. We're now at 114.45. Swiss franc 0.9877. Last time I checked, the pound is at 144 and a little bit of change. Aussie is, let's take a look at that, 0.7171. Indian rupee 68.205. South Korean won 1216.39. The Real just below 4, 399.65. Egyptian pound 782.92. And the Rand remains below 16, 15.7125. Gold, of course, got as high as 1269 last week. Is now trading at 1197.25. Saudi and Russia oil ministers are planning to meet in Doha today, and that's taken up crude oil. I'll put up a 1 month chart, but it's getting a little bit frothy. I'm not convinced that Doha will deliver anything. Very interesting piece in the New York Times, a picture, words from a Syrian officer, then nothing. He said he wished he would wake up in his old house to find the war had been a dream. If I had known how deep was the sea, I would never have swum, he said. If I had known my end, I would never have begun. I saw 10 Daesh fighters with their horrible faces holding the sword, a local woman told us later. They beheaded him in front of my eyes. I'll put up a photograph of Palmyra, Syria, in March 2014, before it fell to the Islamic State. And stories like that, people who are loyal to Assad, Sunnis, don't really come out because of the enormous propaganda. And that comes out on the side of the rebels with a bunch of ne'er-do-wells and would behead you in a blinking eye. On Thursday, 15 million Ugandans will vote on who they want to lead their country. It's a big moment. President Yoweri Museveni and the ruling National Resistance Movement have held power since taking control of the country in 1986. Yesterday, we learned from NBS television that Besigye arrested along Ginger Road following a scuffle between his supporters and the police. Ugandan presidential challenger Besigye was held by the police police fired tear gas to disperse opposition supporters as they arrested a top presidential challenger, Kizza Besigye. The arrest followed chaotic scenes as Besigye campaigned in parts of Kampala. Tear gas was fired and there was one death apparently. Subsequently it was released, and then Catherine Byoruhunga, who's the BBC correspondent, tweeted, "Besigye rides back into Kampala. After being held, crowds line the streets, traffic can barely move." My conclusion is this: Kizza Besigye is not going to win, even if he does. Ahmed Mohamed, Kampala in lockdown as opposition candidate Besigye is arrested. It doesn't look a very pretty sight, does it? Daily Maverick: why is the Al-Shabaab such a potent threat? Al-Shabaab's recent string of high-profile attacks began on the 15th of January, when it overran an Amisom forward operating base manned by a company-sized Kenyan contingent in El Aden, the Gedo region, inflicting heavy casualties, estimates upwards of 50 dead with additional hostages taken. The Kenyan military has not provided details. On 21st January, Al-Shabaab hit Mogadishu's popular Lido beach area, a symbol of the city's return to normalcy, killing at least 20 civilians. On the 2nd of February, a bomb blew a hole in the side of a Somali-owned Dalo Airlines plane minutes after takeoff. The attack killed only the suspected suicide bomber blown out the window, apparently. He had attempted to bring down an aircraft with an onboard device. Lastly, from 5th to 8th January, the group temporarily reoccupied the center of Marka, the lower Chauvel region. I suppose the positive thing for Kenya is it's not happening within our borders now. Africa's big cities offer investors hope in hard times. In such cities such as Lagos, Nairobi, Accra, Kinshasa, Johannesburg, growth remains robust. Investors are prospering in the retail, financial services, technology and construction sectors. Investors can now readjust their strategy for Africa. Instead of taking a view on the continent as a whole or choosing one country over another, they can seize opportunities city by city. Sub-Saharan Africa is urbanizing faster than anywhere else in the world. City dwellers have more money to spend. In the current economic environment, investors want areas where success is proven, growth is strong and will remain strong. Big African cities can give you that. This is a partner from Abrahash. It has become even more important to focus on these key cities than before. Nairobi is the most attractive destination for foreign investment, according to a 2015 report by PricewaterhouseCoopers. Consumption per capita in Accra is 1.6 times greater than the average in Ghana, 2.3 times bigger in Lagos than the average in Nigeria, 2.7 times larger in Nairobi than nationally in Kenya. This is estimated by Abrahash. By 2025, McKinsey estimates that more than 80 cities in sub-Saharan Africa will have populations of more than 1 million, accounting for 58% of the region's growth. This is interesting. The megacity trend is still very much on the cards. South African all shares down 1.66% this year, rallied 2.6% yesterday. Dollar rand, let me put up a 1-month chart. I still think we'll find ourselves over 16 in short order. Egyptian EGX 30 down 17.21% this year. Buhari's budget riddled with errors puts graft war in doubt. In some instances, the same purchase of vehicles, computers and furniture are replicated 24 times. 795 million naira is set aside to update the website of one ministry, while no purpose is assigned to 10 billion naira provision in the Education Ministry's spending plan. The key line items you find in the budget are a disservice to the idea that this government has come to represent change. The naira weakened to a record 3.45 to the dollar on the parallel market on Monday. I've spoken about this this several times, and I think unfortunately the president's got to bite the bullet. If he doesn't bite the bullet, it's going to get disorderly. Nigerian all-share down 13.32% this year. Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index is just below 0% for the year. Moody's affirmed Kenya's B1 sovereign rating, maintaining a stable outlook. Key points: Kenya's growth performance will remain solid, supported by a substantial level of infrastructure spending which will boost productivity, a rapidly expanding services sector, and a near-term improvement terms of trade. Kenya's sizable fiscal and current account deficits will begin narrowing from full year 2016-2017 over the next 3 years as policymakers pursue a contractionary stance of fiscal policy. This will reduce Kenya's reliance on external debt financing and ensure fiscal sustainability. As a net oil importer, Kenya's external position is already benefiting from the decline in oil prices big time. I've said that several times. The report is on Rich Ramhouse, if you care to have a look. I've spoken about this on the 8th of February when I said Kenya and East Africa on the up as the rest of sub-Saharan Africa slumps. So for a while I've been saying that Kenya and East Africa looks like a bright star, what increasingly looks like a darkening sub-Saharan African sky. The shilling has been Teflon since October, and its performance is a signal in the noise. And then I wrote about the Teflon shilling in December. Kenya Airways has selected US investment banking firm PJT Partners to advise on long-term capital raising and the restructuring of its balance sheet. This was an interesting comment. We're at a stage where our turnaround strategy is beginning to gain traction. Buvi Gunze is the CEO of Kenya Airways. Kenya shilling 101.80 last. Nairobi all share down 3.7% year to date. NSE 20 down 6.1% year to date. Full year results season will soon be upon us and will set the tone for the equity market. Big trade went through in NIC Bank yesterday, 0.643% of its shares. It's minus 5.2% in 2016. TransCentury issued a public announcement pre-market opening and asserted that an agreement to settle the TC Mauritius senior unsecured convertible bond will be secured in the very near future, and in any event before maturity, TransCentury rebounded 4.38%, still down 27.87% this year. East African cables fell to a fresh all-time low. That's down 25% this year. After the market closed yesterday evening, Atlas Development made the following announcement. The board today announces its intention to raise approximately $5 million through an issue of new ordinary shares by way of a placing at a placing price of 48 Kenyan cents. The proceeds of the placing will be used to fund a full feasibility study for the company's Chancho project in Ethiopia, a new state-of-the-art glass manufacturing facility 45 kilometers north of the capital, Addis Ababa, as well as initial construction works. Atlas retreated 7.89%. Once again, thank you for stopping by.